Hey guys, what's going on? Hope everybody can see me pretty well. As you guys heard in my last video, I actually lost the peg that I used to put my camera on my tripod. So right now I'm actually just setting my camera up on the shelf in my room where I keep my collectibles. So I mean, if it's in a kind of a weird, it might be in a weird angle right now or whatever, but this is the best I can do. Also, the glare from the window is might be getting in the way, but I'm gonna try and stand in front of it as much as I can and block it off. But anyway guys, I'm back here once again for part 5 of my top favorite movies list. And in this video, most of the movies I'm going to talk about now are going to be movies that when I was a little kid, I would watch these movies constantly, like almost every day, or I would go over to my cousin's house and I'd watch them, just all the time. So these movies are a part of me. They're like really close to me in my heart, and the main reason why I decided to do these videos is because I wanted to show you guys what I thought perfect good cinema was, because back, during the 90s, I would watch a lot of the movies I'm going to be talking about are 90s movies. And I just wanted to show you guys, these are movies that actually help shape what I like about cinema, what I feel like is a good movie. These movies are like pretty much, the best way, and these movies have pretty much shaped how I feel about good movies, how I feel about, just, film in general and everything. So when you watch something so much, it becomes engraved in you. So these movies, in some way or another, have sort of been engraved into me, and, they're pretty much I wouldn't call them masterpieces, but they're flawless in my eyes. So the first movie I want to talk about is a movie that I didn't grow up with this movie, but it's definitely one of my favorite teen movies. It's one of those movies that I know, I feel like that it really represents the way the teenagers felt about high school, about, about life, about partying with their friends, about drugs, about alcohol, And, it really left a big impression on me because I really did wish that I had a group of friends like this. I never really had a group of friends that I hung out with or whatever, especially not in high school. And so this movie was kind of like what I wanted high school to be like in a way, but it is, of course, Dazed and Confused. Now, I know that everybody that has seen this movie knows how good this film is. It's the last day of high school, of course, probably the main character in it, he's really worried about, life and about going into, becoming a freshman in high school and being really worried, Mitch. And, he's just, very worried about, and I was really worried about going into high school. And I really felt like that I needed a good high school experience just to kickstart, just to start things off with. I didn't really get that. But I like the whole idea of, he's a freshman, he's really worried about what's going on. Of course, Ben Affleck's character, she's right there, trying to paddle him, which I didn't understand. I don't know if that was something that happened during that time, paddling, I know that it was sort of like something that, back in the 70s people did, I guess, to break in the freshmen. I never really got that, but, yeah, just, story about a kid is really, self-conscious, and then he goes out and has the time of his life, I mean, what more could you want? And there's so many awesome performances. Everybody remembers, Matthew McConaughey's performance, I mean, I loved his character. He's probably my favorite character in the whole movie. And of course, there's always the great one line, it's what I like about this high school girls, man. I get older, they stay the same age. Everybody remembers that scene, Just really great movie. And as you guys have known about me, I love the 70s. I love any movie that takes place in the 70s. I love all 70s music, especially classic rock or any type of heavy metal that came out in the 70s. And this movie is basically the 70s, for teenagers. And it's, you could call it a coming-of-age story, but I think it's more than that. And it's pretty much just, high school kids just having a good time, and just enjoying being young. And I think that this is what this movie is. It's like a celebration of being young, a celebration of just going out and having fun with your friends, and just having a good time. And that's why I love it so much. it actually took me a while to actually see this movie. I didn't see it till a few years ago, and I'm really glad I finally did because I now consider it one of my personal favorite films. Definitely a great one. Now the next movie you could call it a coming-of-age story, but only this one, instead of it being a whole story about, you know, a group of kids going out and having fun, this one is about a group of kids in detention. And that is The Breakfast Club. Like I said, I know that I've talked about this movie a lot, but, you know, I love movies that are about high school and about high school problems, and about, you know, people being alienated in high school. I felt very alienated in high school. I felt like that I felt very different from people. People, they talk bad about me, they call me names. And so this movie is basically just bringing together 5, you know, I guess you should say cliches on high school, or 5, you know, trends or, you know, types in high school. You know, you got you know, the goth, the jock, the nerd, the prom queen, and the rebel. Putting them all together in one room, having them hate each other for like the first, you know, half of the movie, and then during the second half learning to love each other in a way and learning to come together. And that's one thing I think that high school should be, you know, because like I don't like to label people. I really don't, but like if I see somebody that's like gothic or something, I'll say, oh, okay, well she's goth, but that's cool, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I've never really like had a problem with any type, because I have friends that are goth, you know, I have friends that are emo, I have friends that are jocks in high school. I even have friends that are like preps, you know, and I'm not talking about the preps that oh, I'm better than everyone else, but you know, and you know, so when I saw this movie, I was like, I really enjoyed it because of, you know, it just took 5 completely different people and then bringing them together and then saying, you know, hey, we can all get along, and high school can be like a great experience for everybody. And that's one thing I love about this film. And of course the cast is great. You got Anthony Michael Hall, Emilio Estevez, Molly Ringwald, who was really big back then, Judd Nelson and Ali Shetty, who also starred in Short Circuit, another movie that I've talked about in this series. And of course it's directed by John Hughes, who's probably one of my favorite directors of all time. I love all of his films. John Hughes really knows what it's like to be a teenager, and he really knows how to put that on film. And this is definitely one of his best works. Probably my second or third favorite John Hughes film. I will actually be getting to my favorite John Hughes film in part 6, which will be the final part of this series, but until then, The Breakfast Club, definitely a timeless movie. Now the next one is another movie that, you know, that I actually grew up watching, and it's Leave It to Beaver, the movie. Now this movie gets a lot of hate, and the reason why is because it really has nothing to do with the TV series. You know, you get the kid Beaver, played by Cameron Finley. Christopher McDonald plays his mom, and Janny Turner plays, Christopher McDonald plays his dad. Sorry. And I can't talk today. And Janny Turner, I think that's how you pronounce her name, plays his mom, and Eric Von Deeten plays his brother Wally. And basically it's just, you know, the story about Beaver. You know, he wants a red bike for his birthday. So you know, he's trying to figure out how to get his dad to buy it. And of course, you know, if you know the Beaver series, you know how much of a klutz he is. And you know, his dad, you know, of course, is about to tell him no, but of course the Eddie character, who if you watch the TV show you know who I'm talking about, the Eddie character says, how about you do something for your dad? Why don't you try for the football league or whatever, or the football team? And so he ends up doing that, ends up making the team, and the dad gets in the bike. He ends up getting the bike stolen, and the movie is basically just him trying to work out everything at the football games and whatnot, while at the same time trying to get his bike back. And I always really loved this movie. But as I said, the reason why a lot of people hate it is because it really has nothing to do with the TV series. Here's the way I see it though. The people that saw this movie, the people that saw the TV show, they grew up watching the TV show. And then they saw this movie expecting it to be like a new redone version, you know, or a modernized version of the movie. This movie came out in the 90s, so it's not as modern, but, you know. But the thing is, I didn't grow up watching the TV show. I grew up watching this. So when I went to go watch the TV show, I realized how different it was, and I was like, oh, okay, I can see why people don't like this. But, you know, like I said, I grew up watching this, so, you know, I enjoy it. I love the original series as well, but I really do enjoy this film. It's definitely always been one of my favorite films. And, yeah, it's really one that, even if you've heard bad things about it, I still recommend giving it a try, because it's still a really good film. Now, the next movie, I know that movie lovers everywhere, they always say this is a great movie, and I definitely agree. And it's Matilda. Another one movie that I know everybody has you know, seen, so I'm not going to get into it at all. But I saw this movie back when I was really young, and I loved it. You know, of course, Danny DeVito, you know, he directed it, and he also, you know, starred in it as Matilda's dad, and he's basically a jerk. And his mom, you know, and her mom, Matilda's mom is, you know, kind of a bitch. And, you know, and Matilda, you know, she can move things with her mind. And when I was younger, I didn't know anything about telekinesis or anything like that, so I literally just thought it was just magical powers. I didn't know that there were actually people that actually could do this. Because I do think that there are some people that can do this. I know there's a lot of people that fake this, but I do also know that there are some people out there that there's some truth behind it, you know. And this was just a really, really fun movie, really great film. Everybody that I know that has seen this movie has said that this is this is a great movie. I've read the book too, you know, but of course the book, you know, I grew up watching the movie, so when I read the book, you know, I enjoyed the book, but you know, I was a big kind of bored by it because, you know, it wasn't like the movie. But yeah, really, really great movie. If you have not seen it, this is probably one of the best family movies I can think of. Matilda is a really, really great movie. Now the next movie, this was like, I've talked about this movie multiple times, so I'm not going to get into it as much, but this was the first ever like little creature movies that I saw. And when I first saw this movie, you know, I knew it was like it wasn't supposed to be a horror film. It was supposed to be like sort of a horror comedy / family flick. Gremlins. I've talked about this movie multiple times, so I'm not going to get into it, but when I was really young and I saw this movie, like I've said before, I saw Child's Play when I was really young. So when I saw this movie, I knew it wasn't going to scare me. And Gremlins never did scare me. It kind of creeped me out at the beginning, but after I watched it a couple of times, then I sort of got into it, and I ended up loving it. Still definitely one of my favorites. I love Gizmo. Actually, I have a little Gizmo, little stuffed Gizmo right here. You guys can see that, but yeah, definitely one of my favorite movies. And like I said, it's not too scary for little kids, yet it's still good, you know, yet it's still fun for adults to watch as well. Definitely one of my favorite, you know, family, you know, movies. And of course, you know, Steven Spielberg directed this with Zach Galligan is in it, Phoebe Cates, and Corey Feldman. And this was back when Corey Feldman was huge, you know, and he did a lot of different movies back then. I wish that Corey Feldman would come back, because I personally like him. I know that he did like the Lost Boys sequels, which I'm not going to get into, but I still think that he has, you know, he has potential. I think that he just needs a good movie, you know. There's some actors out there, they just need one good hit movie to come back with and then be back in the spotlight, and then they can be done, you know. Like, and I think Corey Feldman is one of those kids. Or Edward Furlong, I know that there's a lot of bad things happening with him, but I still think that he could come back and at least do another like movie, and you know. But yeah, Gremlins, definitely one of my favorite ones, and I love the theme song to this movie as well. Alright. Now the next movie I want to talk about is another one I've already talked about multiple times, but it's of course The Goonies. Everybody knows about this movie, you know, a group of kids, you know, they're about to lose their town to like this big business company, and they need money bad, so they go searching for a one-eyed Willie's treasure. And during that time, of course, they, you know, the criminals, the Fratellis, they break out of jail. They find out that the boys know about what they're doing. You know, they end up killing somebody, so they basically are going after the boys while they're going after, you know, the treasure. And it's really just a really, really great movie. I know that everybody's probably seen this, so I'm just not even going to get into it. But like I said, definitely one of my favorite family films, and another movie that I really, really love the music to this as well. But yeah, The Goonies, perfect movie. And the last movie I want to talk about is a movie that I think I've talked about in my favorite childhood films, but it is a Disney film, and this was the first movie I ever saw Christopher Lloyd in. And I'm a huge fan of Christopher Lloyd. I've seen a lot of his films, and I think he's a really, really great actor, and I really hope to see him in something else. The film also stars Danny Glover, who, again, this was the first film I saw him in, so I didn't even know. And Ted Danson stars in this, and I didn't know it was Ted Danson until years after I saw this movie, and then I saw Who's the Boss, and I watched the show, and then years later I watched this movie again, and I was like, oh, that's Ted Danson from Who's the Boss, and I just didn't know it was him. But it is Walt Disney's Angels in the Outfield. And for those of you who, I'm pretty sure everybody's seen this movie, but for those of you who haven't, basically the film, it's about the baseball team, the Angels, and they're a horrible team. You know, they haven't won a game in years. They're on a losing streak, basically. And then you're introduced to the character, and Danny Glover plays their coach. And then you're introduced to the character Roger, who is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and his friend JP. And they live in a foster home, and Roger really wants to get back with his dad. And his dad basically comes in, and you know, he's basically he doesn't want to tell him right away that it's probably never going to happen. You know, it never goes into why, you know, why him and his dad are separated, you know, but you know, he's done something, and basically as a way of, I guess, both giving his son sort of, you know, hope, but at the same time it's sort of a joke, he says the only way that we'll be a family again is if the Angels win the pennant. And basically he of course knows that the Angels won't, so that he's sort of saying it as a joke, but Roger actually takes it to heart, and he ends up asking God and says, you know, hey God, you know, can you help the Angels win a little? And basically the Angels, and God ends up sort of sending down these angels, and one of them is played by Christopher Lloyd, whose character's name is Al, who's one of my favorite movie characters ever, and they're basically helping the Angels win games, so to help Roger out. I didn't know who Joseph Gordon-Levitt was when I first saw him. I think this was his first movie, but yeah, I really, really love this movie. Back when I was younger, I liked baseball. I never played baseball, but I really liked it just because of this movie. You know, you ever watch a movie and then you like whatever's in the movie so much you want to do it or whatever, you know? And this was kind of like it is for me. You know, like I didn't start liking baseball until after I saw this movie, and I saw this movie when I was really, really young, very young. I can't remember, I was maybe 4 or 5 when I saw this movie, and it's still one of my favorite ones of all time. I still enjoy going back to it and revisiting it every once in a while. You know, if I ever want to see a good movie, then this is something that I'll pop in, but you know, it's really a great one. And I know that some people might be a bit bothered by how religious it is. When I was younger, I went to church, you know, and I did stuff like that. I don't do it much anymore, but I never saw this movie as like a religious movie. I saw it as a fun family film, you know. So even if, you know, the religious aspect might bother some people, still give this movie a chance, you know, because it's still a really, really good movie. And you know, just always one that I always enjoy going back to and checking out. You know, really, really great one. They did a sequel to it called Angels in the End Zone, I think. Yeah, and it was a baseball one, but I thought it was okay. But anyway guys, that was part 5 of my top favorite movies. Like I said before, if you guys have seen any one of these movies, definitely let me know what you guys think about them. Just leave me a comment down below. Tell me what, you know, movies that, you know, that you enjoy from these lists, and you know, if there's any movies that you think I should recommend, that you think I should check out, that you guys should recommend, let me know, you know, because I'm always open to more recommendations. But anyway guys, I'm probably going to do part 6 coming up. I'll have that up in a few days, and part 6 is basically just going to be my top 5 favorite movies of all time. So, you know, stay tuned for that. And like I said, you know, let me know what you guys think about these films. Thanks to everybody for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Shortly, once I'm done doing these videos, I'm actually going to be moving on. I'm going to go back, start doing some more reviews. I've actually got some independent films I'm going to be reviewing soon. I've got some more disturbing movies I'm going to be doing, and a lot of other stuff. And I'm also going to start doing some reviews of movies that I've talked about in the series because I want to start doing reviews on my favorite childhood movies.